AmericaCom.
No whining. Only expert guests and seasoned opinions. Instruction that matters. At the controls, Vincent Finelli and Mark Wright.
This is USA Prepares, where we're nonconformist. We want to transform your mind, and Len Pense is here today to help us transform how we think about food, how we grow it, how we prepare it, and how we store it. This man is the international expert on this subject. Vinny, why don't you introduce Len Pense?
Len Pense, Springfield, Missouri, gardeningrevolution.com. Class, Len Pense has students and his gardens in many places in the world. South America, Central America, South Africa, United States, Philippines. Len, why would anybody want to grow a garden?
You know, I ask everybody that, Vince, when we get in class, and I get various answers. Most of them are, well, we don't like weeds, and we want better nutrition. And then I tell them I want the truth out of them now, why they're really here to learn this. And I said, how many of you are here because you got a gut feeling we're in for some tough times, and you better learn to feed yourselves again? And every hand in the house goes up.
Every hand?
Everyone.
So people are concerned, and they want to make sure that their survival is intact.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we want to plant a garden. Glenn, tell us about your system. Your system's a little different, isn't it?
Well, for 10,000 years, we've been doing it the same way, digging in the dirt, planting seeds, and hoeing weeds. And I never found a hoe that fit my hand. So
it hurts, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah, I grew up gardening, and my parents did back when I grew up, you know, during the Great Depression. Not this one, the other one. And if we didn't grow it, we didn't have it. And, you know, my grandfather before that down here in the Boston Mountains in Arkansas. And if you think it's tough growing things around here in this rocks, you ought to go down there. He grew a lot of corn. Then he cooked it at night. But
you have to read between the lines, class. Hey, so he didn't have to chew it, did he?
No, he didn't have to chew it. He was
that was a liquid diet he was on. I understand, yeah.
But I come from a long line of gardeners.
Specialized gardeners.
Yeah, I've gardened all my life everywhere I went, and even with 3 stints in the military. I planted something everywhere I was, and then I got to Missouri about 20 years ago, I guess. Found out just because you buy land here does not mean you get dirt with it.
Yeah.
So I started doing a raised bed. And over the last 20 years, I've tweaked it, and it is absolutely the easiest, most profitable way of gardening you have ever seen.
So, Len, you're saying that you don't have to really tend to this garden. You don't have to hoe it. You don't get weeds. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Well, if you don't want weeds, don't plant them. You know? People use dirt, and they use cow manure and other kinds of manure, and, you know, that's where you get your weeds from.
Sure, because the seeds are in there.
Yeah, and we don't use either one.
Yeah. I have a Len Pense-style garden, and, class, I can tell you that I have no weeds. I do have a couple mushrooms, and you just pick them with your fingers, and out they go. That's it. I mean, hoeing our garden, well, without a hoe, probably takes about a minute, maybe less. No tools. Yeah, so tell us how this works. You're gardening above ground. You've got to have some kind of a form. Tell us about that. Tell us how it works.
Yeah, we use concrete blocks. We don't want to use things like railroad ties. They contain creosote.
Okay.
Plants pick that up, and you're eating it, and it causes cancer. It's a carcinogen.
Sure.
Now, some of the newer woods that people use aren't as bad. They only contain arsenic. So we use concrete blocks. They're easy to work with. We don't mortar them together. They're just dry stacked, and they stay put.
Okay, so what we're saying is you build a form. Now, how big is this form, Len?
Well, it can be any size you want. We limit it to 4 feet in width because that's about as high as you can sit on the edge and work it from both sides without stepping in your loose soil.
Okay.
Most of our standard bed's 4 foot by 16 foot.
Okay, 16 feet long, 4 feet wide. You stack 2 blocks high, is that what you're saying?
That's right. It takes
Okay.
64 of them to build that thing.
Okay, so that would be about 7.5 and 7.5 inches, 15 inches tall.
Right.
Okay, and then no mortar. They just stay there by gravity. And then you fill this form that you made with what? You have a special mixture, or what
Yes,
do you do?
we've got a special mixture. We use cotton burr compost.
Mm-hmm.
We use rice hulls and peat moss.
Okay,
And that gives you your real loose soil. It's loose enough that when my potatoes start blooming, I can just reach down through it, clear to the bottom, noodle out the new potatoes, and the plant will continue to grow and produce.
so we're not disturbing the plants very much, are we?
No, we're not.
Okay,
No hoeing at all.
okay. And how long does this last? Do I have to buy a new batch of this mixture every year, or am I good for a couple years?
Well, this is a survival garden. And you can, by composting, keep it up, and you don't need me or anybody else once you get your beds built and filled the first time. By composting and putting on a couple of inches of the right stuff every year, you just keep going. Mm-hmm. And we could do that even when the trucks quit running.
Mm-hmm. Class, I can tell you this, that at the Finelli household, we have one of these, and we planted some lettuce, and there was more lettuce than we could eat. It's just, I'm not kidding. And we have more tomatoes than we can eat. And we have potatoes, and it's just working. It's unbelievable. I'm not kidding. And by the way, Mark and I do not have guests on this show that we don't believe in what they're saying. Do we, Mark?
No, we do not. We believe what Len Pense is saying, and furthermore, there's a lot of other people who believe what Len says, and they've tried his procedure and his technique, and you know what? It works.
Let me just take a sidestep here. Class, we have a meetup on Friday at Ziggy's at the Lamplighter, and the reason I'm telling you this is we have our instructors at the meetup. Len Pense is one of our instructors. He's the gardening expert, and so if you'd like to go to that meetup, it's at Ziggy's Cafe on the corner of Sunshine and Glenstone at the Lamplighter. It's from 5:30 until about 7 or so this Friday, and we have a room reserved just for us for our KWTO 560 AM broadcast radio class. You're all invited. You can bring your friends. Mark Wright, Len Pense, Galen Chadwick, Dr. Howard Shane, Stan Smith, and other instructors and I will all be there. We'll be discussing this week's events, and they've got a special menu for us. It starts from $5.99 to $7.99 for dinner. So if you'd like to meet Len Pense, that's a great opportunity. And if you can't make it this weekend or this week, there's always next week. Right, Mark?
Absolutely.
Okay, Len.
Len, you're going to be there, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. I've been there the last couple of weeks.
Yes, you have.
Len, you tell a story about this high-yield tomato from one plant. Can you take us through that little story before we go into our break?
Yeah, we go into a special class part just on tomatoes because that's the number one crop everybody wants to raise. They don't realize, a lot of people, that it's the heaviest feeder that you have in your garden. So we tell you how to feed it, how to plant it, and most important is how to prune it. And we had a call from one of our students down in Arkansas last November. He said, "Len, I kept track of all the tomatoes that got off of one plant." I said, "How many did you get?" He said, 274 pounds.
Wow.
From one plant.
That's all you need.
Well, that's all you need unless you want to start canning, and making paste.
Yeah, okay. So to do this, you're talking about, you've got to start with good seeds, don't you?
Yes, you've got to have good seeds. Stay away from Monsanto.
Mm-hmm. So you like all organic, and you like heirloom seeds. Is that correct?
Well, heirloom seeds are your best bet because you've got to learn to save seeds, and you can't save a hybrid, and you can't save these GMOs that people are putting out. So yeah, you want to stay with your heirloom seeds.
Yeah, Len, we had Mike Knox on here. He was at the expo too. He's with White Harvest Seed Company in Hartville, Missouri. He's also listed at the website if you need to contact him. He has organic seeds and heirloom seeds, and I have planted them. They work great. I'm saving the seeds, and I won't have to buy any more seeds. So I guess I was a customer of Mike Knox one time. And if I do it right, we can stay friends, but I don't think I'm going to need to spend any more money buying seeds unless I need to buy something that I haven't bought yet.
Well, that's fine for now. You can go get by with buying them from someone. What are you going to do, Vinny, when the trucks quit running?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saving my seeds.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm saving them so that I will not have to buy them anymore. So economically, it makes sense, and also I will have them, and so will Mark, and so will George Wheelock, and Dr. Howard Shane, and the rest of the instructors that are with USAPrepares.com. Well, we talked about this being a raised bed. We talked about weed-free, and that's because the medium that you use, which is this cotton burr, and do you use humus in that too?
No.
Okay, that mixture does not have any weed seeds, and it works great. So will this work year-round, or what do we need to do to get through the cooler months?
Well, you put hoops up, put plastic over it, and you can go right on through most of the winter.
Let me see if I've got this right. So you can take a piece of plastic pipe, right, and you can bend it into a hoop and attach plastic to it. Is that what you're saying?
1 inch flexible water pipe.
That would be like the black pipe?
That's it.
1 inch pipe. And
9.5 feet long.
Okay, that would yield about a 4-foot hoop. Is that something like 4.5 feet?
Well, no, because you're plugging it into the holes in the blocks that have a sleeve concreted in.
Okay.
And that'll give you about a 3-foot arch in height. You don't want to get it too high because it'll lose too much heat.
Okay.
And, of course, you can't have tomatoes, okra, and corn in the wintertime, but, boy, you can sure have lettuce and spinach and cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower. There's a lot of stuff you can grow right on into winter.
So we don't need to buy those salad greens from Mexico during the winter.
Well, fortunately, no. That means you don't have to worry about E. coli, salmonella, and things like that.
Don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. Hey, this is great talk right here. We talk about everything through the prism of preparedness and food you should be prepared with. This is Mark Wright. I'm here with Vincent Finelli on USA Prepares. We'll be right back with internationally known gardener Len Pense.
Please return to your seats. Class is now in session at usaprepares.com. Interact now by emailing instructor@usaprepares.com or text 417-200-4715. And now, Vincent Finelli and Mark Wright.
USA Prepares is live on the air, KWTO 560 AM, the Talk of the Ozarks. I'm Mark Wright. I'm here with Vincent Finelli, and we are also here with internationally known expert Len Pense of Gardening Revolution. You know, when we start talking about preparedness in regards to food, Len, I think about a lot of different issues. Obviously, we see commodity prices increasing. You know, you're a military man. You know, especially when I was a kid, we used to have reserves, food reserves, grain reserves in this country, but these food conglomerates don't like that, and they've stopped that. And if we had a major catastrophe in this country, we couldn't depend upon the government to feed us. We can't depend upon the grocery stores to feed us. We have to depend upon ourselves, and there's nothing better to do than to grow your own garden. And I'm so glad that you're here today to help us teach us to, you teach us to grow it, you teach us to prepare it, and also properly store it. Talk about that.
Okay, Mark. The thing about storing food is, of course, everyone comes to mind with canning. Matter of fact, we were canning potatoes today out there, green beans yesterday. But canning is a lot of work. It takes time. It takes money. And so there are other things to do besides, if the trucks aren't running, where do you get your lids from now on? So you need to think about dehydration. Dehydrated food is better for you than canned food because when we subject the foods to the pressure and temperature that we do during canning, it kills the enzymes. Dehydration doesn't. And you'd be absolutely amazed at the things you can dehydrate. The problem is most dehydrators are electric. Now, what do you do when we don't have a grid? Well, you have to think outside the box here. You really have a dehydrator. It's sitting in your yard. You don't have any gas for it. And you know, it'll get up to 145 in that car if you leave the windows rolled up sitting out here in our sun.